How many of you know about Coursera?
I guess many of us are doing the courses there, sir.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Which are the kind of courses you're doing?
I have enrolled for managerial economics and business analysis.
Oh, beautiful.
And advanced Excel also, I got a specialization certificate. Yes.
Oh, good, very good.
Morning,
It was
Professor.
a good one.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else?
What was the discussion about, Professor? I just joined, Subhash here.
Yes, Subhash. I was just asking as to how many of you are doing something about Coursera certifications.
Okay.
I think that was a very wrong question in the early morning for you.
So it's been quite. I would say it's been a mammoth task for at least for me. I can't speak for everyone. At least for me to, I work with operations. So in my organization, so it's been quite a juggle between the EMBA and the office, especially with the work from home scenario.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, working in office is totally different. Like you know, we just work a stipulated amount of hours.
Correct. I think the time gets blurred at home.
Exactly. So you know what, previously when we started in April, we used to come back at, you know, we used to just wind up in office by around 5, come back here, have a half an hour break, and then start off with hit the books or hit the internet for research when it comes to MBA. That's just simply not happening with this work from home scenario. It's at least I find it very difficult to make that balance.
Yeah.
It's been like what, almost 4 months, 5 months. I'm finding it very difficult.
Yeah,
just being
you're right. Yeah. I agree, Subhash. I mean, I fully understand what's happening in the current scenario, at least, because I also come from IT, and there's so many people in my apartment block who also work for IT companies. So their timings are totally blurred.
I'm actually thankful you gave us a assignment early on, and it's like we finished it and we uploaded that, and I'm working towards the second assignment of the 4.
Yeah, great. Wonderful, and yeah, thank you. So nice, Subhash. So we'll officially start the class now. Good morning to all of you, and I'd like to first of all congratulate that all of you have done very well in terms of the assignment. Assignment 2 will kind of carry on with like the assignment 1, and we are in the process of discussing as to how it could be done more as a team and individually, both. So it's going to be quite a task for us and quite a task for you, but great, the assignment that you have done and what's going to happen for the assignment 2 is kind of going to be correlated, and it's really going to work extremely well for the entire session of entrepreneurship. So that's one. Second point is, as I will again stress, last class we discussed that the basic PPTs which are put up on the LMS are enough for you to kind of go through and understand on your own. If you have doubts on that, kindly let me know, we'll discuss those as well. The PPTs that I'm going to mostly use for the entire, almost the entire session is going to be of a higher level PPT. I'm also qualified from Wharton. So this is mostly from Wharton and Illinois that I'll be using the PPTs. Just because you're all executives and we need not waste time with the basics. So we should start the class today. After a little deliberation, we found that we'll actually practically restart, but pretty fast, go pretty fast. And like always, kindly stop me wherever you want to clarify any sort of doubts that you have with whatever we are going through. Sashi, something to say?
Nothing much.
All right.
Yeah, I'll just mute. Sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you.
So corporate entrepreneurship is generally what we know. It's about everybody individually being an entrepreneur, but still working in an organization. The other word for it is entrepreneurship, which essentially means you think like a business owner, even if you're working in organizations. What is innovation? The process of translating an idea or invention into a good or service that creates value for which, so forget the or there, for which customers will pay. What is value? Let's thrash this out. What is value to the customer?
Something which satisfies the need of the customer.
Correct. Correct. What else?
So value could be one of a better pricing.
Okay. Then let's come back to the need part. What is the difference between need and want?
Basics and a cherry on the cake. That's the difference.
Yeah, so if I'm feeling thirsty, I can have water, I can have a juice, I can have a beer, I can have whatever. So the basic need is the thirst, but then the wants are many. The do needs change? It's a kind of a tricky question, but do needs change?
Yes, needs do change.
Yeah, you're right. Any example?
For example, internet is a need now. It was want a couple of years,
Very
maybe
correct.
5-6 years back.
Very correct example. Beautiful. So it is true. So what was earlier a want has also changed over and become a need. So those things are also happening.
Good morning, Professor Smita
Good
here.
morning. Good morning.
So, yeah, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, so needs change also according as per the Maslow's needs of hierarchy. So when you have food and water is met, then we look out for the other need of social security. Then after that, stability. Then, so yeah, needs to change. And after that, so I believe in the Maslow's needs of hierarchy is a true example where persons need change as per time, and as you achieve one need, you try to move into the other.
Yeah, I mean, very right that you brought this up. I don't know if you know, actually, Maslow's copied it from the Indian texts.
Okay. I was not sure.
Yes. So essentially, these are all there in the old history of India. So others do some pretty good, nice research and then copy it and then put it up there. It's good, but still, Maslow's has done a very nice work to generally indicate as to where we are. Ekalavya?
Okay. I think someone is not mute.
Yeah, Ekalavya, I think, is having his own world of songs and stuff. Yeah, that's fine. So what is innovation always an invention?
Not really, not really. Innovation can be something very creative, or which can be an update also. I mean, like we say, the versions get updated.
Correct. It can be very, very simple. So
something that is existing, yeah, something that is existing, and you want to bring up something new to it. Maybe.
Yes, some small change is also an innovation. So again, if you go through a lot of research on the articles available on the internet itself, you will come to know that innovation can be very, very small. We need not always think of the classic people what they say about reinventing the wheel. It's not needed. So it can be very, very simple as well. Essentially, I've given some links. This particular PDF will be shared immediately after this class. Again, I don't know if we discussed this or not, but are entrepreneurs born or made?
Made.
Yes. So there are very, very few, maybe about 5% in the entire world who are oriented towards being an entrepreneur from the very, very beginning. But otherwise, usually it has been found that it is through our life experiences our ideas, our motivation levels, and the main thing is the persistence and the risk-taking ability that we can be entrepreneurs. Anybody, any one of us can be. But then what is the average age of a successful entrepreneur across the world?
So, Professor, just maybe some 18-year onwards, but just a question, like only entrepreneurship will be needing the things that you said, or do you also feel that backup investment is also what entrepreneurship needs? I mean, there are so many people at the age where they do not find investment or investors, or they do not have something to start up with. Sorry, yeah, I think you're breaking.
Professor, we couldn't hear you.
Yeah, it was breaking. I thought it is from my end, or
No, Smita, even I couldn't hear.
okay.
I think we lost her.
Yeah.
I lost myself, and yeah. Yes, so I'm sorry, I lost you. I lost myself. Am I now audible to all?
No, I think there is a bit of disturbance, I think, Professor. I mean,
Your voice is lagging.
Yeah, let's just see how it pans out. So
yeah,
Pramila,
it's
can
better
you just
now.
repeat?
It's
Yeah,
better
yeah.
now. No, Professor, I was saying like a question. There are like entrepreneurship requires, as you said, what is the average age? Age can vary from say 18. People start at 15 also. But somewhere I feel there is an entrepreneur. Everyone has some innovative or creative ideas. But sometimes the fear of getting not the fear, as you said, the risk-taking factor is a bit high, and sometimes there is no backup investment, and
Yeah,
many
you're
of them
right.
cannot.
You're
Many of
right.
them do not land themselves. They feel like, okay, there is no one to support me, or I do not have let's say my parents or my any relatives, or because at that age you might not be in a state to get a loan or put out your ideas. So I feel sometimes investment or backup investment is also a major factor of not allowing a person to become an entrepreneur at a certain age.
Yes, I'll answer your question quickly. The point here that you made is good. Basically, if you look at the history of India, Indians, we have been entrepreneurs for very long. But in recent years, it's not been happening because the ecosystem is not that great. It is changing slowly, but definitely it is not the same as, for example, let's say in the US, where what is the ecosystem? Ecosystem is people who are supporting you, even if you fail uh, in your entrepreneurial ventures, they still support you. You can walk with your head high and with pride saying that, all right, I made this mistake. Now I learned from it. Now I'm not going to make the same. That's the first thing. Second thing is there is money. Now, there's a far easier accessibility of money in terms of investments for entrepreneurs in the US and other places compared to India, but India is slowly changing. And also, our molding in life. The family says, all right, you study well and go get a job. So these are a few things. Of course, it's, again, we can keep discussing on it in a larger length. But for now, you're right. And I can also say it is slowly changing. And generally, it's been observed across the world that the average age of a successful entrepreneur is 45. What it means is a person can start being an entrepreneur, learn from the mistakes or start working, and then get some ideas to start a business, start, flop, and then finally make it up there. Fine?
Sure. Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Yeah, what main thing about entrepreneurs is their ability to rapidly sense, act, and mobilize even under uncertain conditions. So The main thing that you have to understand in this is the risk-taking ability, which is there almost unending throughout the day, almost every day. This is the main thing. We will need to look at it from the point of view of what is the risk, sense the risks fast, act on it pretty fast, mobilize the resources, and most of the time the conditions are uncertain. So one more definition of an entrepreneurship is creation and management of a new enterprise to accomplish some objective. Simple. Again, entrepreneurship can be very small in cases like here you see a person who is selling something. Similarly, we have Pani Puri guys here in India. They are also entrepreneurs to their own level. Some of us who feel that entrepreneurship is only for making money, or money is the main motivation to be an entrepreneur. This is a classic example of a lady who loved mathematics, who loved to also teach maths to her kid, and finally to the large audience. So her love for maths made her a huge hit in launching a website and then reaching out to teaching many, many students. So motivation to start a business is not necessarily money, is also something that we have to look at. Does it mean that we should not look at money?
I think money
Is not the
Not
only thing.
exactly.
Yeah,
Not exactly.
money needs to be in, money has to be, your orientation also.
I mean, if you have the idea, then money can flow. You can start thinking from where you can arrange money, or
not just arranging, also profit. So both ways money is needed, but then the passion to start the businesses, which I'm going to explain now. A few examples I'm giving is the passion is not money, it's different. These two people, friends, loved chocolates. Because for the love of chocolates, they started this business, and then today Raka chocolate is pretty famous. At least last year's when I found it out. This person always wanted to fly. And the difference was he wanted to have flying cars. He wanted to make cars which can fly. Because of his passion of flying and using cars to fly, he has started out this venture. It's called Terrafugia. You can just Google it up and probably able to find more information. So motivation need not necessarily be money. Did we take this example in the last class?
Yes, Professor.
So I think we'll move on quite fast then on this. Did we take this example as well for a software service? I think so. Lifetime customer value, customer acquisition cost.
Yeah,
Yes,
this
or
was the last slide. Yeah, this was the last slide in the last class.
all right, great. So this is not needed. And anyway, this is average. This is for you to just go through. All these figures are not needed for us. This is Scott Mills, who clearly says he's from Viacom, that today if I am interviewing anybody, I am looking at somebody who can think like a business owner and then applying for a job. Otherwise, I'm not interested in taking that particular candidate on board. It's pretty simple. You need to think like entrepreneurs to move on ahead in life, is what he says. What are the types of entrepreneurs? The main thing that before we get into the types is there are three important aspects or traits that we kind of see. One is the propensity, your own ability to handle risks. How strong are you in terms of risk taking? That's the first thing. Two, personality. There are some desirable personalities you can actually, like we discussed, 95% of entrepreneurs are made. So there are certain desirable personalities that you can, mold yourself into. You be the best of what you are. You don't need to copy anybody. But the third and most important thing is passion. Passion is definitely needed to do any entrepreneurial venture and make it big. So is your corner shop wala an entrepreneur?
Not really. I somewhere
Yes,
feel
they are.
because I feel he's trying to maintain his own needs or look out, but he might have plans. But then, as for me, he might not be an true entrepreneur.
But he is.
He's
Yeah,
Yeah, to
we
some
can
extent.
debate on it, but the main difference between the regular corner shop guy and there's one basic difference between him or her and an entrepreneur is that person is happy to have a shop and run it entire life, maybe pass it on to the next generations and forget about it. He or she is not really looking at expanding it in a major way. So entrepreneurship is also about expansion, about innovation, about so many other things. So I know I've lived pretty many years of my life in Baswangudi. There are so many shops there which still are running just the same. They do not have any other shop. They do not have any other branches. They have not even shifted over to probably delivering stuff home. So you just go there, example, a provision store. He's doing business. He's been surviving, living on it, maybe built a house with it. You can definitely debate that he or she is also an entrepreneur, but the main difference is there is no passion to make it bigger. There's no passion saying that, all right, I'll make it extremely big. So it stops there. Did you understand the situation, what I explained?
But Professor,
Yes,
that
sir.
depends on the opportunity, right? For example, Haldiram's, he
Yeah.
started small,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then later he expanded. So it depends even on the opportunity, right? Even if I'm a small store vendor, it
Yes,
even
you're right. You're right. See, the point is, it depends on the opportunity. It also depends on the individual. How many of you here
yeah,
in
both together.
Bangalore? Now, how many of you know about Desi in Bangalore? Anybody know about this Desi store?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, I think most of you have heard of Fab India at least.
Yes.
So
Yes, sir.
similar to Fab India is a Desi store. He has got about 2 stores or something in Bangalore. And he's also got this traditional Indian clothing lineup. And he's pretty good. I mean, his clothes are pretty good. The point is not money. The point is he didn't want to expand. About 6 years ago or so, I had a detailed discussion with him because my online business was doing pretty well. And I was also selling on different big websites like Amazon, Flipkart, and all those. So I told him my website has also become famous. It was called as WeShopOnline.in. I said, clothing line is something I have not launched and something very rare I'd like to start with. So why don't we look at tying up possibly? There is no loss for you and there's no loss for me. When the orders come, I'll let you know. You can, if you have them, you can ship it out. Otherwise, you can take a week, 10 days time and then ship it, no problem. But then he was in no way wanting to expand. He said, I'm happy with the 2 stores. I have money to invest for more resources in terms of capital, in terms of employees, but then I'm not going to do it. So do you call him an entrepreneur?
No, sir.
No.
So you're right. I mean, Vidya is right. All of you are right. Subhash also saying that, yeah, he's also an entrepreneur is to a large extent right. But there is a difference. The difference is either there is no option to expand or you do not want to do anything about it. So entrepreneurs fall slightly different than the regular shop wala category. Under entrepreneurship, there are 3 types of entrepreneurs generally for your understanding. First is a serial entrepreneur who focuses on starting one business for now and then another business later sometime. That's a serial entrepreneur. Parallel entrepreneur is someone who focuses on starting multiple businesses at a time. Non-traditional entrepreneurs can be any one of you, for example, who is working. I think all of you are working. But still you have an idea for a business. Maybe the business plans that you came up with also could be, or you will come up with business plan and pitch in the future. Could be an idea that you're really serious about and will not want to risk quitting your job, but still want to do the business. So how will you do it? You'll do it part-time. That is an example of a non-traditional entrepreneur. Can you give me an example of a serial entrepreneur and a parallel entrepreneur? Steve Jobs falls in which category?
Parallel.
You're right. He is also a serial and a parallel. Elon Musk.
Serial.
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 Elon Musk is a classic example of starting with serial, but then today is a very big parallel entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He's got investments in many businesses. How many of you know that he also was a major part of PayPal?
He started with PayPal, like he became famous from PayPal, right?
Correct.
Got the money from PayPal to invest on any other.
Okay, just remind me, I would like to share a beautiful case study on Elon Musk from Harvard. End of the class, somebody please remind me again. I'll make sure I'll download it and share it with you.
Sure, Professor.
Yes.
So Steve Jobs, again, incidentally, was also a parallel entrepreneur, I told you, because he also started Pixar along with Apple. Anyway, don't get too worked up about it. So we'll just look at corporate entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship in established firms. How many of you work for big established firms? Let's say IBM, for example.
I work for Vodafone Idea Limited.
Okay. Are they, simple question, are they innovative?
Sir, no. As of now, I can say it's no because they are declining their projects and so they are no.
Correct.
As compared to zero.
They keep coming out with IoT solutions.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of new solutions they're launching.
Okay.
They are the first one in telecom industry to launch eSIMs
Okay.
for IoT devices.
Yeah, right. Correct. Recent news.
They
Yeah.
launched it in the last month. They're the first one.
Okay. Correct. So the point is, if you look at very large established firms like IBM, very old firms like Bosch,
Oracle.
Oracle, these companies find it very difficult to innovate. Why? Accenture is a relatively new firm. I worked there. They also have some issues with innovation.
Maybe
don't want
because
to
of the
change.
structure.
Yes.
They have a robust structure, a very unflexible structure, maybe.
Absolutely right. So that's one of the main reasons. And there is a culture which is formed. I think I must have given this example as to what happened with Kodak.
Yes, Professor.
Yes, sir.
But then I also must have told you, they were the ones who came up with the digital camera. But why couldn't they succeed? Just
Before they
because...
could succeed, the idea was taken up by.
So competency lab, they they invested a lot on other, they trusted on their film and they thought that their investment is huge on it. Let's take every buck out of it.
You're right, but then not just their investment, their market share was more than 80% or 90% or something across the world. So if you have such a big market share across the world, why will you want to change from film to the new technology? So they lost out. They could not think beyond what they were. So most of the established firms have a major problem that they get stuck. They get stuck with the structure, with their culture, and also there are many other reasons. There is something called, we'll learn that, hopefully when there is time. I'd like to teach more and more and more, or rather, we'd like to go through more and more and more. There is something also called as a reference point. It's a beautiful phenomenon, beautiful, simple understanding that we can get from a reference point. So Kodak's reference point was, I am huge. I have so much percentage across the world in films. So why the hell should I change to something new? So that's precisely what happened. They did not recognize the opportunity. IBM, there are so many examples of companies which have just lost out just because they could not think beyond. What happened with Microsoft and mobile phones? They could not think beyond what they were doing. They just did not. But then established firms do try to innovate in many ways. We will look at three ways. One is internal development. Second is partnerships. Third is acquisitions. The main reason that you look at mergers and acquisitions today is also because they would like to innovate. They cannot shrug off their culture, their, wherever they're stuck. They'll find it very difficult to shrug it off. So how they change it over is through these three things. Can somebody tell me what could be internal development?
Strong R&D team.
Yes, very close to the answer. Which is the company which gives employees a lot of free time to just go, sit, talk about innovation?
Google.
Yes, right. So Google is the company, but then before Google, there are many companies who started off like that. They are devoting and dedicating their employees' time and not complaining about saying that, no, my employees are wasting time.
Even Xerox, right, sir?
Yeah, but then Xerox is again a huge case study where they also flopped after a long time.
I would say that nowadays, a lot of firms have come up with the brainwaves and Kaizen. So we can log in our ideas right over there and discuss and work on it, which can also lead to a Kaizen. Then Kaizen can again lead to a Six Sigma.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Kaizen is definitely one example. How they do it is through internal development. Again, my voice is fine now.
It is like digitalized for me.
Your voice is...
Yes, no, yeah, it's same everywhere, I believe.
And then 5G and all that nonsense. Yeah. Is kind of okay now?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, Professor.
I'm sorry, having every kind of proper connection and all that, still there is an issue. So internal development can happen because you can motivate your employees to actually work on coming up with a lot of innovations, like Kaizen is an example that was given, which is correct. There's one more way, sort of between internal development and partnerships. Have you heard of many companies, big companies across the world, which actually motivate their employees when they come up with their business ideas by possibly investing and lending their name and then making sure they're somehow tied up with the company? Infosys in India is a classic example. When some nice employees in the organization come up with some business ideas, if Infosys likes it, they definitely help out in terms of investing and giving the brand name. So that is a way. Why do they do it? Because they can innovate, right? Any other company's example that you can give? Internal development.
Well, I know about Close Up.
Okay.
Where the security guard salutes the CEO when he gets into the organization. Okay, and what happened is at his place, he used to use Close Up. So his son used to come to him and tell him, the way they use Close Up is usually when you take a brush, you put it from, one into the other end of the brush, right? So, but the nozzle used to be too small.
Mhm.
So what the security guard told the CEO is that if you could make it a little bigger, I think the consumption of paste will be more. That is why the brainwave came into existence. That's how it's implemented in all the organizations.
Okay.
So innovations can be captured in
Okay.
any
Good.
sorry. This is one of the history behind
Yeah. Continue.
brainwaves and Kaizen.
Okay. That's nice. That's nice. But how much of a toothpaste should you actually use?
Usually, we all do is once we.
What is the enough amount of
Usually we use it on the complete bristles, right? That we use. So even if the nozzle is small or big, we tend to use it just the same way. So that's where the consumption becomes less. If you're talking about the
You're right, Shashi. So yeah, that's a good example that you have given. Similarly, let's take a similar example of 3M. 3M is one of the pioneers of a 15% employee time to be devoted to innovation. And then Google today has become very, very famous with it. Can you give an example of a failed innovation from 3M, which today is a huge success?
Come again with that question, sir.
Anybody, any idea? Could you all hear my question?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, Professor, we're thinking.
Actually, I lost you. Can you please repeat the question?
Yeah, the question is a failed innovation of 3M today is earning them billions of dollars.
is it something dealing with the painting part?
No. We use it at offices. If you go to Arvind's cabin, you will see it there as well.
Is it the film?
Yeah, 3M is very famous for the car films and all that. But then 3M started off like it's mentioned here. 3M is a company which gives a lot of scope for employees to come up with a lot of innovation. So they gave time and resources to a team which was held by one particular person, I forgot the name, to come up with the strongest glue in the world. And finally that
Vinyl.
Because when you stick it to a
Self-adhesive vinyl, SAV.
you're coming somewhere close to it. But then what happened is it finally they came up with the innovation in the form of a gum or a glue, which you pasted on a particular place. It would just come off without leaving any residue. So they came up with stickies or post-it notes. Right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
So they did not see, that is the smartness of the company. Though it was a failure in terms of the glue, it was adapted so beautifully well. They figured out that this glue is not leaving any residue on any surface. So why not make use of it? So today post-it notes is across the world and they are earning billions out of it. So coming to, moving on to the other companies which innovate a lot today are, what is X? There is 3M, there's Google, there's Yahoo Labs, there's Microsoft Research, LinkedIn, IBM, and all these companies give on an average of about 15 to 20% time, right? So all these companies are very well known to have a lot of innovation. Google X is a subsidiary of Alphabet, which also gives a lot of time for their employees to do a lot of research on that. So that's about the first point of internal development. Let us look at strategic partnerships. What is Tesla good at?
Electric cars.
Yes.
Batteries.
Yes. So basically, Tesla is excellent at batteries. What is Toyota good at?
Automobiles.
Yes. So passenger cars. And then Airbnb, as you all know. So they came up with a partnership. It is not too great to mention this, but then this is a little way that three major companies can actually participate and get into some sort of strategic partnerships. Strategic partnerships are mainly done by these companies because they recognize that the other company is good at whatever they are doing. So Tesla tied up with Toyota's and Airbnb. So if you go to many Airbnb places in the US or Europe, if you have a battery operated car, Tesla would have a charger put in collaboration with both Airbnb and Toyota. That's one of the ways that you can have partnerships. Then the last thing you will have is acquisitions. This is very, very interesting but I'll have to quickly go through it. Acquisitions and mergers happen majorly. These are some of the examples I'm skipping out, but then we'll look at some major examples here. All of you know, right? Facebook acquired companies. They have been acquiring companies. I would definitely stop here and tell you to make a note of the acquisitions made by Facebook over the years. I would request all of you to generally go through that. They have, to an earlier date, made about 50 acquisitions. And why do they acquire these companies? Why did they acquire the first company, Instagram? Why did they acquire Instagram? Any idea?
They felt it's a parallel concept for Facebook, and so they
parallel competitors.
Correct, very right. So that's why they acquired Instagram. Why did they acquire Oculus? You may not know, it's a virtual reality company. So they also wanted to acquire it mainly because of the technology that they had. And finally, they acquired WhatsApp for how many $1 billion?
18 billion.
$19 billion.
Yes, exactly $19 billion. The reason why they did that is, first of all, to mitigate competition. Second reason is to make sure that they are in that space, because WhatsApp was capturing a large number of customers very fast, right? So this is how you can actually go and have a look. Like I said, please make a note to look up on Facebook acquisitions and why they have done it. We'll take a break. Yeah.
Professor Byju's also is doing the same strategy. They are acquiring a lot of organizations which are, in their parallel business lines.
You're right. You're right. There are many reasons for it. First is to mitigate competition. Second is to definitely get into innovation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good point you came up with. Before Amazon and Flipkart and the others, which was a company which was doing pretty well in India, online marketplace?
Yahoo.
Yahoo wasn't all that great, but it's even today very, very famous.
Flipkart.
Before Flipkart.
Mintra.
Snapdeal.
India time shopping.
Yeah, all these you're right, but which was really doing extremely well, and even now, not in India, but across the world is doing extremely well.
We're talking about Alibaba?
eBay.
Correct. eBay is the right answer. So eBay was very much there. There were nagging problems with eBay though. That's why today, if you see, Flipkart took over eBay and then closed it down in India. The problem mainly in India and of course across the many parts of the world is that you do not have control over who's selling what. That's the main problem. I still am registered with Amazon and Flipkart to sell my products. So from a seller's point of view and from a buyer's point of view, I know both. There are a lot of issues in eBay. Even if you sell a brick instead of a mobile phone, you will still be paid as a seller and the customer will go for a toss. That's a huge problem, though there is rating and you get into negative rating and all those things, but still the control wasn't. Flipkart smartly played it over. They made sure that they have good control over the quality of the products. And finally, they were able to take over Myntra, Jabong and all that. Myntra is a beautiful site for shopping, clothes, etc. So that's one example that you should understand. And today, who are the two only main players in India? All of us know it's Amazon and Flipkart. Why so? Have you made a kind of a study? We know that these are the two major players, but then why is it so?
Because they have merged or cope up with the other parallel organizations.
Correct.
They have won the competition.
Correct. They have bought over others. If you know the story of Jabong, he did not want to sell it at all for a long time, but then he had to. So it's either pressure or a lot of money being offered. So that's why today you've got investments for both these companies from major investors across the world. There's Alibaba invested, there is Walmart invested in these two different companies across the world, definitely in India, mainly because of mitigating competition and that you are a duopoly sort of thing. There are only two people who are doing this majorly. Does it mean other small companies cannot do it online?
No.
No, they can.
They can, Professor.
Exactly. Because when I started years ago, my own small company, which was mostly for home improvement products, I could do very well on my own site. I could say I have a sale of 1.5 lakhs a month. So it does not mean that these are bosses, just means that they will make sure that whoever can come on their board, they'll take them over if you become too much of a risk for them. Otherwise, you see a lot of small websites which are doing extremely well. So there is a lot of options for everybody around, provided you have the right outlook of what you're going to sell and you continue on the business pretty well. So here I'll stop. We'll take a break before we get into opportunities and uncertainty. We'll take a break for about 10 minutes, come back by 10:30. Any doubts you have?
No, sir, till now.
Or shall we continue for a while and have a break later? How was it?
Have a break later for me.
Later, Professor, maybe at 11:30 or something.
11, yes, 11 or 11:30.
All right, we'll have a break.
Same here, Professor.
Okay, we'll have a break by 11 o'clock, which makes it an hour and a half for the class. Opportunities and uncertainty. When you want to start a business, what is the question that you ask yourself? The first most important question.
How much risk am I taking?
Yes. What else?
What is the business objective or plan?
Okay.
Can I
What is
sustain
the
in the
uniqueness
business?
of our
Is there a
project?
market for it?
Is it a good time?
Yeah, right.
Will customer pay for it?
Correct. So all these questions are related to one basic question. Will it ever work? Will I be able to do something? So all of you are right. The main question that is asked across the world is, I know the product is great or the service is great. There is a market, I've made a research, there is investments coming in, but will it ever work? Will my startup succeed or not? So is there a right answer? Is there a way to find out? We'll see. But then there are opportunities, there are uncertainties, and that is what is entrepreneurship. Mainly, the entire idea of entrepreneurship is that there are risks, there is uncertainty. But are there tools? Some of you, I think one presentation I saw used a particular tool. So are there tools we can use to figure out whether I'll be able to succeed or not? There are tools. Again, not wanting to get into that fully. This is an important thing for you to understand. If you look at it, if the study that is made across the world is if you are able to sustain yourself in the first year, then ideally there is a great chance that you will succeed in the future as well. But then there is something called as pivot. I want you to clearly understand the meaning of this. So how many of you have made a business presentation in the previous session and wanting to change the business as a group?
Myself.
Who's that, Sashi? Okay. What do you want to change it from and to?
No, I had another business in mind because I carry around 11 credit cards.
Okay.
Okay, because see, most of us, what we do is that we use so many credit cards, and there's an option in our app where we can switch off our card.
Okay.
If we switch it off on the app, we could never use it.
Okay. Okay.
So if I'm having 11 credit cards, I have 11 apps.
Ah, okay. So
Can I
integrate
have
them all in.
Yes, into one.
Got it. So this is called as pivot. So usually many people come up with ideas. They start to test out the ideas, which we'll see how to, and then find that maybe some changes in the plan are needed. So that is also called as pivot. You can also totally pivot to something entirely different, like what Shashi has just explained. So from a completely garden-based idea to a credit card app idea, which is possible. Now, what this graph is actually saying is, don't get too much into it, but the main thing is the survival rate of companies which have changed direction or which have called as pivoted are higher. The blue line is the lower line, which is people have not pivoted, they have not changed direction. They have been totally focused on their own business and thought that it will do extremely well. Unfortunately, that has not happened and they have gone for a toss. Whereas if you look at the red line, that clearly says that people who have changed direction are more likely to have a successful business in the future. Clear about pivot?
Yes, sir.
So this is a method where you can try to figure out whether your business will work in the particular market that you are looking at or not. This is an example of the lean methodology. Did somebody use this in the business explanation that they had? I think something else was used. Anyway, there are several ways to plan startups, whether it will work or not. The first way is an example given here, is the lean startup methodology. All this will be shared, so you can go through it later. There is another way. I think this is something that somebody used. This is basically a business model canvas. Am I right in saying that somebody used this?
Yeah, Professor.
Yeah. Good. And then there is a beautiful book, if you have the time and the resource and the interest. this is a book called as Discovery Driven Growth by Rita and Ian Macmillan. This is about how to plan startups. I'm telling you all these so that not that these things will come in the exam as questions. That's not the point. The point here is there are ways that you can figure out whether a particular startup can be planned and then figured out as to what is the direction that it can go. Or if it may not happen, it may not work, or you may want to change direction, which is called as pivot. Okay, so do research on your own, please. There are many ways that you can use the tools. One is the lean startup methodology. The other one is discovery driven planning. That is what is the book about. Fine. So far, all right, all of you. Are we going a little too much?
No, Professor. We are following it.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions so far or any inputs, please?
So can you explain a pivot once again?
Which one, please, Ritik?
So pivot. What is a pivot? So what means the point where
I
we
didn't get the question. Can you play the question again? What
so,
do you want? Pivot.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. See, pivot is you come up with a business idea. Okay. You come up with a business idea. Student, just hold on. I'll just see if I can switch over to this 5G and see if it works better. Just hold on, please.
Yes, sir.
Sure, Professor.
Yeah, Ritik. So you had this question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the business plan you and your team came up with?
Sir, Christie, the auto water system and manual discussions.
Yeah, correct. So what do you do?
Sir, in our plan, means many of us used to set up the garden, but did not have time to water the plants, and also did not know how to detect the soil's fertility, soil moisture, soil quality, everything. That will be done by our tool called Christie.
Yeah. You are basically the target that you have, the target market that you have is home gardeners, correct?
Yes, sir.
So assuming that you just do the research and find that there are very few customers that you can look at selling, but figure out a way that this is more needed by farmers, then do you have a change of plan?
In a bigger scale, yes, sir.
So that is an example of a pivot.
I think a drip irrigation will work on for that.
Yeah, drip irrigation is also something that is a pivot. It will work for that. There's no doubt. And I don't know if all of you know, but there is something called as magic water or something. I forgot the exact name of it. So that is
Magic pot, sir.
No, I think magic crystals or something, where it is like a crystal, like a round small ball, which you just put water in. I mean, you you put water in the pot and then leave the crystals on top of it. The crystals are made in such a way that as and when the pot needs more water, even if you don't water the plants for the next 2-3 days, the crystals will give out the water. Okay, I've just forgotten the entire thing. This was something we were doing some research. My business partner sits in the US. So, and he's a Jew. He's very smart in his business. So he and we were discussing the other day on this particular, we didn't bring the product to India. That's an example. Anyway, coming back to answering the question of Ritik. So if you change the business model in some way, that is called as pivot. You can change it fully also. Like what Shashi said, he'd like to get on to an entirely different business. Clear, Ritik?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. All of you clear so far? Any doubts, please?
The one that you were talking about, was it polymer crystals?
Yes, I think that was
Hydrogels?
what. Yes, correct. I think it was something related to that. It does the same thing, right? It gives out water like that and all that.
When the soil is dry.
Yeah, correct.
That's right.
Yeah, so this is something I had access to bring it to India, but then we did not move on and some other things happened. Anyway, we'll move on to a very interesting, not that the others were not, but this is very, very interesting. What is a push and pull according to marketing that you have learned?
Demand and supply.
Okay, demand and supply is all right. But what is exactly a push and a pull in marketing?
So we will push sale is the thing when we go to the customers and say our product does these and those and that facility have is a push.
Okay.
And pull is something some other vendor something have this facility, but I am adding some more facility to it so that I can pull that segment of customer also.
Okay, correct. I mean, you're very close to the answer. Can
Push
somebody else
is,
also give?
pushing is
yeah,
primarily on the print and media advertising. When it comes to the pull marketing, you write digital content, more like blogs, articles, or you release this small teaser kind of videos, more of an online education, use the new tools of micro marketing, right? Social media and other stuff.
Both of you are right. Kumar is right, Ritik is right. Can you give some more examples of push and pull? That's where we get stuck.
Sir, forcibly, making the market to know about yourself, your company.
Yeah, any example?
Like, for example, if you're using LinkedIn or Facebook, some other pop-up will come, related to some advertisement. So this is a push kind of a thing.
Okay.
Right.
It's called
Good.
retargeting. Yeah. Yeah. So that's fine. Geo, Sam is push or pull or what? Was a push.
Yeah, Geo is a push. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if you then you can see Eureka Forbes does a smart job of pushing their products to the market. Pull is like what Kumar explained, that it could be that you write beautifully about something in a blog and then customers and somehow are interested in wanting to go and buy the product. So let's stop there. Let's not want to discuss, let's not go on to discuss about marketing push and just a question I asked. Let us clear that mind now and try and understand what is a push and what is a pull in innovation. All of you are. What is clear for all of you? Hello?
Yeah, as of now, fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, look, before we go into understanding the push and pull sources of innovation, we should see when we start a business, where the advantage comes from. So the advantage for any business can come from many sources. We are here to look at three particular sources. If you are an illegal business, drugs, India, do you have an advantage? Do you have a market already and very few players? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Or do you have created monopoly? In China, there is CCTV. That is the only broadcasting network for the entire China. Do they have a monopoly? What is a monopoly?
No competitors.
There's only one person. You're right, Vidya. So just one person or maximum two who control the entire business. If you even look at US today, AT&T, these are people who are still almost like a monopoly for network carriers. But definitely, if you, all the business ideas that you came up with, do you fall into monopoly or illegal? You don't. So you will get an advantage if you are a monopoly, which cannot happen in today's market. Second, you can have an advantage if you have advantages from scale. To explain this better, let me give you an example of Honda cars. Anybody has gone through the history of Honda cars and how they started selling in the US? What do you know about Honda cars?
They were initially into.
Did we lose Shashi? Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, Shashi.
Am I audible? They are into engines.
Okay.
Initially, because I was a fan of Honda, so used to be, not now. So initially, I think they had this aluminum engines, which was a little loss, which was a failure. Then they're more into engines, so nothing much.
Yes, sir, correct. But here, you're right. But I give here is the assembly line was initially started by Ford, but then you know Japanese, they really do it beautifully well. So Honda started manufacturing the cars which they could oversell, as in for Japan was not much. So they thought the next best alternative is to sell either in Europe or US. Started selling in the US, and then the reason they did it is because their manufacturing became so cost effective that they were able to produce so many cars at such fast rate and cheaper pricing that their cost advantage from scale picked up. You understood the example, right? So you will have cost advantage if you probably manufacture more and more of the same, and you will be able to manufacture it pretty cheap compared to your competitors. All your business ideas, do you have cost advantages from scale?
Professor, I have a question here. When you're saying manufacturing more, right, it even depends on the demand also, right? Until unless the demand is really high, if you're manufacturing, and that is
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I said. See, Honda's example is I gave because the demand was already there. They knew that the markets of US and Europe, money. If you go deep into it, in the US, all chunky made cars were there. So Honda could actually capture the market because they were very efficient in many ways. But you're right. You should have the demand if you want to have cost advantage on scale, which means you manufacture, instead of manufacturing 10 products, you manufacture 1 lakh products. Any of you fall into that category that you can get an advantage from? No. So which means these two are out of. The third is what is applicable for all startups. That is doing something valuable, better, and different. How you can get it is you can possibly look at differentiated products and services. I think all of you have looked at it. And you should have some rare capability. You can have smart people working with you. You can have cost efficiency for you. You can have safety that can be a measure for you. There are usually a lot of focus that the entrepreneurs will have in the third point. So far clear?
Yes, Professor.
Yes, sir.
Then we'll move on to the actual idea of innovation. A simple one more definition of innovation that is given here is innovation can be defined as a new match between a solution and a need. Is it very simple for us, all of us, to understand? It's a new match because it's an innovation. A new match between a solution and a need, right? So there's one more important word, or a particular understanding that I want all of you to have. If you are looking at a need, then you are looking at pain point from a customer. Can somebody explain what a pain point means? What is a pain point from the customer's perspective?
No, in their business, what are the problems or hurdles they are facing? In a way, it is impacting the business, which either they don't know or they want to improve.
Correct.
That would be the pain point. Yeah.
You're right, Dilip, but it need not be a business. It is a customer's pain point.
Yeah, customers. Yeah, customer pain point. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That's the actual answer. Very correct. So that's a pain point. So here we will have to have three conditions that have to be fulfilled. First, you must have figured out that the need has to be real. The need has to be real. If somebody is looking at gardening, the customers, individual customers in apartments in particular, the need has to be real. Then there should be enough customers with the same need. If you just have one customer, is it enough? No. You should have enough customers with that need. The second is your solution should meet that need. Does it meet the need halfway? Then it's not work. Does it meet the need fully? Then it's going to work. So that's a very important thing that you have to understand. The third condition is the customer has to pay more than your solution. As in, it's going to cost some amount for you. How many of you have figured out from your business idea as to how much it's going to cost you to deliver the solution?
We had done.
Yes, we had done, Professor.
Okay, so let's assume that your solution will cost you 1,000, and if you look at the other costs that you have, you would like to sell it at, let's say, 35% as a profit margin. So if you sell it for 1,500, if it's going to work, then the customer should be willing to pay that 1,500. So these are three conditions that have to be met between for the new match between a solution and a need. Clear? How do you match it? Now, this is a very, very important aspect. We'll finish this before the break and then take a break. In pull, we start with the need. How many of you started with what customers want and then started creating a solution?
So, but in a situation where, like this, we can only assume what a customer wants, because if you look at the fact, in reality, a lot of research needs to be made by going to customers and talking to them in order to understand what a customer really needs.
Absolutely.
And each customer's need is totally different from the other. Like, for example, Infosys may need a different kind of solutions in the business plan that we presented as against to a new startup mate. So it's basically dependent on different customer needs, and may not be one fit.
You're very right, Subhash. But my question is even more straightforward. My question is, did you start finding out that there is a market generally before you started coming up with your solution? That's the question.
We did, sir. We already knew there is something that is already coming up, but not implemented yet.
Okay. So that's the answer I wanted. You're right. The answer that you've given, I think all of you in the business so far, that's usually how it happens, is we kind of figure out that there is a need out in the market. We can tweak our solution to suit different needs. That's not the question. But when you came up with business plans, with your business idea, did you come up with a business idea so that you're fulfilling a particular need? You found out that there is a market for it, there is possibly a need for it, people may buy it. Hope my question is clear.
Yeah, Professor. So basically, when you start it, maybe you have an idea, and then your market research really gives you the full insight, right?
Correct.
You go and do a market research on your idea, and then that's where your pivoting strategy, all that comes in. So if I find out that my idea is good, then it goes ahead. Otherwise, I pivot, right?
Yes. So there is another way. See, that's what we need to understand here. We'll thrash it out before the break, and before I move on to the next slide also. So if you find that there is a particular need for a particular product or service, and then start making a solution, that is called as pull. What is push?
Sorry, Professor, can you repeat?
Yeah, can you repeat it?
Push would be we come with an idea, then we push it on people.
Bharat got it. Anyway, I'll explain it. The first we are looking at is a pull innovation. Now, pull is you go into the market, or you generally know that this is a problem out there in the market, that there is a need that has to be fulfilled. There is a product that you can make. There is a service that you can provide to fulfill a particular need that you've already found out that customers want. And then you start making a solution towards it. That is called as a pull in innovation. Clear or not clear?
Yes, Professor.
So Vidya, what is your solution? How did you come up with your business idea? Tell me that.
So basically our idea initially started a different way. That is, we were planning for self-watering pot. But then when we went ahead and saw the market and the demand for checking out the self-watering pots, and we tried to see what are the things that are missing. People were trying to check their soil fertility rate, and the self-watering was one of the requirements that they had, and how much light.
Okay. Please wait. Please stop there. I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't do it. But why I interrupted you is you found out that soil fertility is something that customers are in need for, correct?
Yes.
So you found out that there is a need there. Yes. And then you worked on your solution.
Right.
So you already know what the customer probably wants, and then you come up with your solution, correct?
Correct.
That is called as pull in terms of innovation.
Okay.
What is push then? Bharat explained, Bharat mentioned it properly, but then can Bharat give an example?
This would be something which a customer doesn't need now, but in eventually once using the product will be sticking to the product.
That's possible, yes. What
Professor,
else?
if we pull the idea from the market, it's pull. But if we have an idea and push it to the market, it's push.
Absolutely correct. That's 100% right. So if we develop something on our own, what happened? What is this, brothers?
Professor, we didn't hear your question. Sorry.
Yeah, what is the story of Wright brothers? Do you have any idea?
They saw a bird and they wanted fly.
Yeah, correct. So what did they come up with in the end? They did not bother about the world, whether others wanted to make a flying plane or not. They only said, I love flying. We love to fly. We will make our own airplane and fly. Did they even conceive or think that they would be it would be a commercially viable project? So if you look at the case study of them, if you study a little more, you will get to know that they had no intention to make flying a great business in the future.
Yeah, they had only the passion for doing it.
Yes.
At the same time, there was another, I forgot the person's name. There was another person who was trying to do it as a business itself.
Yeah, you're right.
But
Not
he
one
mentioned
person,
failed.
there were many.
Yeah, but one person, the model also, I forgot the name though. I have read it, but I totally forgot.
Yeah, I mean, there is a particular PPT, I'll share it with whoever is interested, about what happened after Wright brothers came up with this idea. Others took it, tweaked it, flopped, fell over it, did all those things, became total rubbish, and finally came back with the idea of almost the similar model of what Wright brothers did.
Right.
And finally, it became commercial. Got it? So you come up with a solution and then push it to the market. That is a classic example of push in innovation. 3M stickies or post-it notes. Is it a push or a pull?
It's a push, right?
Push.
All of you are clear? You're right. All of you are clear about it?
Yes, sir.
Should I explain or should we? We'll definitely look at more examples so that you're even more clear about it. All you have to understand jargon of pull push. There are two ways that you can come up with innovation. I'm not interested whether it's not a question in the exam that you have to sit, write and answer what is a push, what is a pull. All I want you to understand is there are certain terms that you will have to kind of understand in entrepreneurship. That's why deliberately I'm stressing on some terms. So if you look at innovation, if you look at pull, it is mainly that you find out what the need is and then come up with a solution. A push is you come up with a solution anyway and then push it to the market. Any more examples?
More like an add-on service that we offer. It's not required, but it's good to have, right? A push.
Not necessarily, Sashi. You will know in the future. Push is also something.
Professor, just one question on this push and pull.
That's
So,
exactly what happened.
Professor, I couldn't hear.
Isn't aircraft a necessity today?
Yes.
Yes,
So I finished with Sashi. I
Professor,
was saying
I didn't get the reply.
Aircraft is an. Yeah. I'm
Voice
trying
is
to
not
answer
audible,
with
yeah.
I'm trying my best to answer. What I'm saying is the answer to it is not an add-on. Push is very much sometimes can be a necessity, like airplane. Got the answer, Shashi?
Yes.
So Vidya, you were saying something.
Professor, my question is in push and pull strategy, right? In both cases, we do market research. because I see in pull there can be a market research, but not in push. Push can be like an innovation which came across and then you're putting to the market. That's also
Yeah,
possible.
it's a very, very good question. In fact, I'll answer that question after the break by taking an example.
Sure, Professor.
All the others are clear
Yes.
so far?
Yes, Professor.
Good.
Yes, Professor. Yeah.
So we'll look at these examples after taking a break. Now I need a break. If you don't want, I'll definitely need a break. Request a break for 10 minutes.
Sure, Professor.
15 minutes, Professor.
15, no?
Yes.
11:10.
All right, sir, as you say. We'll
Thank
be
you, sir.
back by 11:10. I'm sorry, with all the proper internet connectivity, I'm still having issues. I don't know what else to do. This is Airtel, it's called as 5G, it's called as 4G, whatever. But still, I'm having issues. So do disturb me if you
So
can't hear it.
sometimes it happens, Professor, even if there is net, there is fluctuations because they are working on certain areas. So even if you have all the proper connections, it is there.
Yeah, I think
everywhere.
you're
So
right. It keeps happening, yeah.
if
Anyway.
I call up the care, they say there is some work going on. There we are working on this and that, and they just
I know.
that happens.
It does happen. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so we cannot be helping. We cannot help ourselves on that.
Yeah,
That's
true.
the
You're
thing.
right.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. So we'll come back by 11:10.
Okay, Professor.
Professor.
Hello all again. Welcome back.
We're back, Professor. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. So what are we looking at now?
So is marketing insurance done for both push and pull?
No, please don't get confused. That's why I deliberately asked this question. It's not marketing push and what is this push and?
So no, sir. I mean, say, is marketing research done for innovative push and pull?
See this. Okay, I'll just explain it once more. This is about the different sources of innovation, how innovation happens. One way is because you find what the customer's problem is and then create a solution. You are innovating, you are creating a solution. It can be a product or service. The other way is like what happened, there are many instances where they come up with a product just because of innovation and then they push it to the market. Whether people like it or not, it just goes into the market and then people will eventually start using it. And there are many products where people don't realize, customers don't still realize that there is a need for it, but still the products are already innovated, they are made, the services are innovated, the services are made, and then it is put to the market where the customers later on understand, yes, that this is needed and I'll start using it. Clear so far? So these are two sources of innovation. One is from the customer, you get to know as to what the pain point is, what the need and want is, and then create a product. The other way is just because of your own interest, you start to create something and then you put it out to the market. This is two ways which is being discussed now about innovation. Push and pull, sources of innovation. Clear, Ritik?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Others, all clear? So we'll look at a few examples of both push and pull. Now this is Tony Fidel. I don't know how many of you know. He is one main person who designed several iPods, iPhones, and iPads. Do you think he's a smart character in designing? Yes?
Yes.
Definitely. So he retired from Apple, and then he proceeded to build his own dream house, retirement, some sort of a thing like that. So in the US, thermostats are pretty much in demand. He went out to buy a thermostat for his own house and found that the thermostats were looking ugly. He wanted to design a thermostat which does not look ugly. What is this case? Is the case what happened? Complete silence.
You're audible, Professor.
I think there was a brief silence, Professor. I think we lost you.
The question. Are you all able to hear me?
We lost the
Yes,
last
sir.
part of the question, Professor.
Okay,
Actually.
the last part of the question was he went out to the market. I'll explain the question again. This man went out to the market to buy a thermostat. What is a thermostat? First, don't use it. Let us
Which
consider it.
maintains temperature.
Yes, it's like a heating element. Maintains some sort of temperature, like a reverse kind of an AC. So he went to
It's
buy it.
available in iron boxes.
Yeah, correct. So there's a cutoff point and all that happens in thermostat. Anyway, he went out to buy it and found out all those which were available were looking ugly. So he said, okay, now as a user, I see, as a customer, I see that the thermostats which are available in the market are ugly, and I'd like to design a thermostat which looks smart, which looks nice. Is this a case of push or pull?
He pulled the idea from the market, but maybe his design is completely different, so it would be a push. He pulled the idea, I believe.
Correct. That's the exact answer. Because he faced the problem himself as a regular customer, it is a pull, the idea. But then he designed it and then left it to the market. Obviously, if a person like Tony Fadell is doing it, others easily bought it just because his designs were considered to be excellent and superior. So it's both a case of that. But initially, as Bharat rightly said, it's a case of pull. He as a customer had a problem and then figured out the solution. So thermostat finally was acquired. It's called $1 billion. So this is a classic case of pull because the problem he faced was himself. Okay.
Lost you.
Many more examples given here. For lack of time, I won't go through all that. Just move on to the classic example of a classic, as in it's not really taught by everybody. We don't discuss it, but then there's a beautiful example of a push. What you see here is basically a person who has been incapacitated. He cannot walk. So he's been on his wheelchair all his life. Now he came up with an idea that I would not like to sit and talk to people at maintaining eye contact at the same level. I would rather want my wheelchair to have better height. So better height also meant that it should be balancing properly. So he made sure that he designed it. And of course, you see here is the ex-President Clinton, who also loved the particular idea of this particular model, that this man came up with the idea just as a solution for himself. So far, we are clear with this. His name is Dean Kamen. He came up with a solution of a better height wheelchair. Can anybody now guess what this could have led to? We are looking at push. For people heightened wheelchair. You're still having problems listening to me?
Yes, Professor.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Your voice is breaking in between and it's
Very
going
bad.
blank. Yeah, now I think it's clear again.
Now it's better. Huh? Okay, the question was, this is a product which was designed as a heightened, more height wheelchair. Any idea what this product would have evolved into?
Might be the people, those who, the differently abled people have started using it as a, I'm not, don't have the,
Continue on those lines.
The chair that is used for differently abled people, and it is a self moving chair without anyone's support. I think that was redesigned to that chair.
Yeah, you're all trying properly with your answers. Please continue. Automotive chair, yeah, getting close to the answer, but please continue. Geo push and pull was also correct, Bharat. Yeah, please continue with this now. What do you think would have happened? Use your rarest imagination, wildest imagination if possible.
These people both stand at eye level. That's what.
That is fine. But
There was a market created for it. That's like those who wanted it, they thought of, they reached out to him or maybe something on lines of it.
correct, on the lines of that is correct. But what finally would have happened with this product?
Demand
The
would have
product would
increased.
fail,
Okay.
especially due to the point where it would be an issue for a physically handicapped person to get in or get out. It would require someone, as well as the safety concerns were involved there.
Mm-hmm.
And the market is not that much big for especially this kind of thing.
You're right, Vishal. See, you're also coming close to the answer. Let me again relate it to what happened with the creation or the invention of airplanes by Wright brothers. They did not bother commercializing it. Innovation happened on it. Innovation repeatedly happened on it. Then finally we have flying planes. We have helicopters. We have jet planes. So somebody else took the idea and made it something entirely big. It could be improvisation on the product. So on those lines is the answer.
So eventually someone would have developed something into robotics or something.
Again, they have developed something into something is correct. What is it?
My guess would be in robotics.
In robotics, okay.
Professor, I don't know the exact name. I have seen it in a movie like Shah Rukh Khan uses it. It will be self-moving table with two handles. So he stands on it, it moves.
Absolutely
So
right. The answer is 100% correct. The name is Segway.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So you can see a small innovation is being developed, taken over, and then developed so beautifully well as an innovation and finally commercialized. But then it's a smart thing, right? So from a self-balancing heightened wheelchair to a Segway. But what was the problem with Segway? It was not balancing properly because it had two wheels. Shah Rukh Khan also, the same example, he actually fell down from it. Now, he fell or somebody else fell, but that did happen many, many times. So they created a better model for a personal transportation three-wheeler. Three-wheeler would be much better an option in terms of stability. And you can see with innovation what can happen in the future slides. Today, it is being used by cops like a small transportation vehicle, personal transportation vehicle, which is like a small scooter, which is very low cost. It's battery operated, and police officers, especially in the airports, are using it for extremely useful purposes. Isn't it a smart innovation? And is this an example of a push or a pull?
It's a pull and it's a smart innovation.
It's a push, Subhash. The reason is they developed on it, they pushed it to the market as Segway, and finally it was again, there comes the option of a pull where they understood the problems with customers. Segway was falling off, they created a 3-wheel model. So you can see that from one small idea of a wheelchair, a heightened wheelchair, you can see where it has led up to.
Got
You
it.
understand? Yeah. So in the future, I'm sure in India also we'll keep seeing such things happening where it can be used as a small personal transportation vehicle, just because we do not have roads and the traffic is so much. So there are two ways that we learned today. One is a push, the other one is a pull. So this is actually now, even now it is called a Segway. It's a beautiful innovation which was pushed into the market by making modifications as per what the customer needs were. Okay, Wright brothers already discussed is a classic example of a push. Nobody thought that they wanted to fly also, but it did happen. So two important concepts that we learned so far is innovation can happen in many ways. Ideally, it happens in two ways. One is we understand the needs of the customer and come up with a solution. The other one is we come up with a solution and then push it to the market by major modifications or minor modifications. Any doubts so far?
No, sir.
Professor, I have
yeah.
a question. If someone develops something with this passion, which may not be commercialized or which may not be offered to the public, will that person be called as an entrepreneur?
If he or she is not making it as a business, then there is no way that person is called as an entrepreneur. There are many ideas which have
in certain cases in push in innovation.
Yeah, in terms of innovation, then it was done as a, he did not push it, he or she did not push it to the market, but then it just happened. The invention or innovation just happened and stayed as it is. That's all.
He can be called as innovator, right, Professor?
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
But not an entrepreneur, right? Right, Professor?
Okay, understood.
No. If it is not pushed to the market either by that person or by someone else who can take the idea.
But if his product is again taken up by someone and someone tries to push it in the market, so who will be called as the entrepreneur? The one who pushes it to the market or the one who innovated the...
Good question. You will get the answer if you go through the case study of Tesla, Nikola Tesla.
Okay, Professor.
All his inventions were taken over by others, unfortunately. It's an excellent case study for anybody doing MBA. Edison took over a lot of his ideas and called his own. So again, I request all of you to make a note of going through the life history of Nikola Tesla. How many of you know about him?
It's about alternate current and direct current, right,
Correct.
Professor?
Yeah, that's
I
one.
have gone through his
Yes, that's one. Anybody else can share something about Nikola Tesla? It's a very interesting. He's a very interesting person.
He used to work for Edison in the start for setting up the cables, but then he started his own generation, the electricity generator, and there are a lot of scuffle between regarding the patent, and at the end he died.
Correct. If he were allowed to move on, the minimum thing that would have happened to the world is we could have had free electricity by now across the world.
Yeah, even Nikola Tesla gave up all the shares in his investors, and he was working for free for his last leg.
Correct. So it does happen that many people create something, invent something, just because they're geniuses or whatever, and then they don't pursue it. Somebody else copies it and takes it over. That's
He was
also
accused
definitely.
of being a Nazi supporter at his end days, I think.
Yes,
Correct.
he was a lot of things. So all of you are right. So I definitely urge all of you to go through his life history as a case study, maybe. Okay. Now, how do we go about finding opportunity to either start a business or to how do we get opportunities is what we'll look at today here in this session. I will discuss how you can achieve the two goals. That is, customers, first of all, you need to have opportunities and how customers can be used to get opportunities. So what happens in a tournament? What happens in a tournament? What is brainstorming? Before we move on, let's understand the core concepts. What is brainstorming?
Gathering everyone to collect information.
Yeah. So what happens in brainstorming is you are allowed freedom to come up with your own ideas, etc. And then all the ideas, none of the ideas are rejected initially. All the ideas are put through, and finally you come up with a few ideas or even one idea in the end. That's what happens in a tournament, right? What happens in a tournament? In normal regular tournaments, you have, let's say, 100 people competing in one particular sport, and then you qualifying rounds. Then it becomes smaller. Maybe there are 16 people in the semifinals. There are two in the finals. Maybe there are only two. So essentially, ideas also go through a process like that. Start with a number of ideas and then move on to making smaller ideas. So this is one particular approach that is being used by companies and individuals across the world to generate ideas. But how can you, what is crowdsourcing and crowdfunding? Have any one of you heard it, these terms? Crowdsourcing and crowdfunding.
Yes, Professor. It's kind of like viewing some trailers or advertisements for some kind of money, doing some performances to get the investments.
Okay, that is crowdfunding.
Yeah, crowdfunding.
Okay. So there are many classic cases of crowdfunding, and recently it was also in a negative bad news that people made arrangements through Facebook, etc. There's one particular lady in a state in India who called out for help for her ailing mother for her cancer operation. So I don't know the exact details of it, but basic thing is she wanted an X amount of money. She got more than double that money from people who helped her from abroad, but that money was misused. But anyway, that's a case. What I'm saying is crowdfunding is a major source of revenue for many startups also, because we are looking at crowdfunding, we are looking at startups. Next, what is crowdsourcing? Get ideas from a large number of people, right? That is crowdsourcing. Here is an example of a website which is called as Threadless. Now, he's very smart. In a business, what are two things which are needed? The basic two things. On one side, you have to have customers. On the other side, you have to have your products or services ready. These two things have to be there.
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, Professor.
So here, Threadless is a beautiful example of a crowdsourced business. On one side, he had designers who would design t-shirts. Now, those who designed, everybody would get some amount of money. And those designs would be put up on his website. On the other side, there were tons of customers who would look at the designs and already order for the major ones that they liked. So one side, he is happy with designers who are also from outside. He is not paying them salaries. He's just paying them for small amounts of money for their designs. On the other side, there is already customer base, which is fully ready. And then they say, okay, amongst those many designs, I will need so many designs to be made into my color t-shirts. So you have both suppliers, you have both customers, both of them ready. Now, when both of them are ready, the biggest advantage is you already have orders ready. Smart way of doing business. Understood? So you can go through this in detail. The same crowdsourcing is an idea which is also taken over very seriously by Dell and by Starbucks. Have you again lost me, or am I audible?
You're audible, Professor.
Audible, sir. Audible. Sir.
Okay, so that is a way that you can get your ideas from. Crowdsourcing is a beautiful way that you can get your ideas from. Look at this. This is a beautiful example again of how to do business with very minimal risk. This is a case of C&A Marketing Inc. in the US. How do you think they might have created products based on what customers need? Any idea? It's there. The answer is also these people are very smart. They would look at products that are available on Amazon, for example, and they would also look at the reviews of the products. So if, for example, they found that many customers bought earphones, Bluetooth earphones or headphones. So they would look at it and find out from the reviews, for example, that the customers would like it to be waterproof. Create the products as they would create waterproof Bluetooth headphones or earphones. Isn't it a smart way of doing business? You already know what customers want, and you already know what they have purchased and what is the pain point that they have. Based on that, you can make your products. Is there any way that you can incorporate such solutions for your business ideas? Yes or no?
I think we can, Professor.
How do you think you can?
I think this comes with a lot of research, research based on for example, customer would write back reviews or based on a product. So so those reviews can be compiled, and then a new innovation can take place based on those reviews.
You're right. So customers can be a great source of ideas. So what you'll be doing next further on is actually reaching out with your business ideas to customers, but then we'll be making a few changes in terms of what will happen in the assignment 2, which we'll discuss later. So far we are okay. Basically, I have honestly taken some haphazard concepts and given you the brief of generally what we need to know about all these. From now on, we will look at this will be the last for today. It's called as VIDE model of success, which is something that you will have to work on for now with your own business ideas. Now, before moving on to this, I'd like to ask the groups, the teams which are there, would you like to continue as is with the teams, or would you like changes in that for future discussions? and assignments?
We want to go with the same team.
Yes, Professor, let's go with the same team.
Same team would be nice.
Okay, but there should be change. Small change. There are a few reasons that we can do it. We have how 8, right?
Yes.
Sir, your voice is breaking. Sorry.
Yeah. We have had 8 in a team so far.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Professor.
Yeah.
Professor, my team has 10.
Your team has 10. That is too much. Okay.
Professor, I think there are quite a lot of messages also in the chat that quite a lot of us feel changes is good because that will also give us new ideas and new teams, more of a networking opportunity as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Professor, I think that is a good idea. I mean, it's good to work with new teams as well, right?
Two, three. Somewhere around there. Okay. So should we have not more?
Sorry, Professor, your voice is breaking.
Your voice is breaking, Professor.
Shall we team of not more than 4?
Yeah, I think that will be better, Professor. Not more than 4. A team of not more than 4.
Okay. Okay, we'll then quickly finish that thing and then move on to this VDA model of success to finish today. Having said that, the team of will have a strict team of only 4 from now on. If you have started with a business idea, then either you can continue with it even if you split into different teams, or you can have new business ideas, because the entire thing will be the 4 of you be judged individually and as a team. Both it's going to happen, right? This much you could hear clearly?
I think Professor 5 would be fine, Professor. 4 would be very small because there would be a lot of teams in case if you make 4.
5, huh? 5. Okay. So what will happen even if it is 5 is there will be this assignment 2 will be a continuation of assignment 1. It can be a change of business. That's not the botheration. It can be the same business. That's also fine. So we'll then stick to a team size of 5. Team size of 5 is fine. Okay, most of you are also in agreement with it. So team size of 5. What you will have is presenting business plan and
We
a
can't hear
pitch.
you. Your voice was stuck.
Yeah, we couldn't hear you.
Okay. Now is it audible?
Yeah, Professor. Now
Yes,
there was a
Professor.
break in between, so we couldn't hear you.
We'll have a team of 5. 5 in every team, which will end in presenting I'm typing it out.
In chat or in screen, Professor?
I think I'll do it on screen. Yeah, wait, please. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Professor.
sir.
I'm sorry, there is some issue today. We'll somehow manage. Clear?
Yes,
Yes,
Professor.
Professor.
So this is what will happen. I'll explain later on as to how you'll be evaluated individually and as a team. But essentially, it's going to be a team size of 5. You will actually, next class, I'll be fully discussing about what a business plan is and what a pitch is. Main thing is the business plan. Pitch you can figure out on your own to a large extent. But the main thing is the business plan, which I'll discuss with all of you. So this is what is going to be assignment 2. It will be an individual as well as a team marking for the assignment 2, but you will necessarily work as a team. Is this clear so far?
Yeah, Professor.
Yes,
Sure,
Professor.
Professor. So teams, how is it getting created?
Team is entirely, I think, up to you. If right now you're happy with whatever team is there, then you can have 5 of them together, but some of them have to change.
So, Professor, don't you think then that would be a problem if, like, we are 10 as a team now and we have worked on a same business plan? 5 of us go ahead and, maybe continue with the same plan, and then we can easily, we can target upon assignment 2. But the 5 that are left out, maybe they will have to again start from scratch. So, is it not possible that we can continue with the same team size?
No, team size has to change because then we don't want to have a problem later on. Also, firstly, many of you wanted some changes. Secondly, is to evaluate 10 people is going to be very dicey going forward. And to answer your other part of the question, whether it's going to be difficult for somebody to start off with a new business plan and then continue, that's not a problem at all, because you only have a basic idea now. But to create a business plan and pitch is something very, very big. So it's almost like starting from scratch. Even if you have an idea right now, it is not going to matter much.
Okay. Okay, Professor.
Definitely not going to matter much. Not much, I would say. It does not matter in any way. Because right now, some of you are wanting to pivot. Right now, you've just gone through with the basic idea. But then to make it a business plan and then creating a pitch out of it is something that is going to be very, very huge. I'll tell you why it is made like this. Why I'm saying you'll understand. Why it is both as a team and individually, you will understand here. See, first is business plan. Now, business plan, all 5 are involved to make the business plan. Then the pitch. The pitch has got 3 different types. One is elevator pitch. We'll discuss this. Okay, clear on this? Right?
Okay, Professor, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so in assignment 1, there was a topic on business plan. Are you telling us to improvise on part of that business plan if we are to proceed with the same concept?
Very good question. In fact, I wanted to explain it just now. You brought it up at the right time. The business plan that you came up with is just a plan. It's not a business plan anyway. None of you were expected also to do a professional business plan. So a business plan is something which is entirely different than what you have actually come up with so far.
So basically what you're saying is that was very amateur.
No, I'm not saying it. What I'm saying is all of you have come up with is excellent, but it is in no way related to the professional business plan which is out there in the market, which was not expected that you will do in the assignment 1 because we have not discussed it at all. So you have come up with your ideas. Your ideas or any other new idea should be put in a form of a beautiful business plan. The professional actual business plan. Answers my question, Subhash?
Got it, sir. So basically you have to go through this concept of business plan with us.
Yes. The coming class, the next class is going to be, discussion is going to be on the business plan. And in the meantime, I would request all of you to look at all business plans which are available across the internet and the pictures as well. Clear on this?
Sure, sir.
So we'll make it 5 teams of, and when shall we finish this?
We have 40 minutes. Can we start doing that now?
All of you are in?
Unless
So that
you
becomes,
have another plan for us.
that becomes chaotic is what I feel. Maybe if we're only talking about teams and then distribution, maybe we can have a Google sheet and then we all can start filling in the teams. And we can also take the discussions offline and then do it, and we can save a lot of time here in the class.
Yes, that's a good idea actually. But then we need to finish it today. That's the essence of it.
That can be the deadline, isn't it? Today EOD.
Yeah, today EOD could be the deadline. Who can actually volunteer to just send the final 5-member team student list
I
by
can
the
do
end
that.
of the day?
I can do that.
Vidya. Okay, Vidya, can you please coordinate with the entire class
Sure,
and make sure that every team has 5, and then send me the list, please.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can actually interact with the team leads last time who were appointed, so it will be easy for her.
Yeah, they can interact with Vidya and let Vidya interact with just the final business and final team team sheet with me.
So how is it? Are we going to again demonstrate it, Professor, or individually and team?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. It's going to be a presentation, and it will be both individual and team. The reason I'm saying it is I'm requesting all of you to contribute fully individually.
Okay, so since we also have a class in the noon session, so I think I'm not sure if this can be delivered by today EOT. I mean, will it be okay tomorrow or sometime like that?
So let it be in this 40-minute session only, sir. I think so. Last time how you have done, it can be the.
Okay, then just give me about 10 minutes. I'll just finish what I have to finish in terms of explaining today, and then we'll move on. Half an hour, we'll give it to that.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah.
So before we move on with the business plan, now that is sorted out, you are coming up with a business plan, you are coming up with a pitch. Before we move on with it, there is something called as a, just look at this. Now these are things that you can read on your own. I go into V is value. So when you're doing a business, hope you're all able to hear me. If there's a problem, put it on chat. You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Professor.
So V is value. If you want to start a business of your own and move on with it, the first thing that is important for you is the business has to have a value. Value is a function of your idea, development of the idea, and exogenous or the external factors. We look at everything. What is value? Let's imagine that you are mining for gold. Let's imagine that you are mining for gold. First thing that is for value is you should have gold in that particular mine. Is it right?
Mm-hmm.
Gold should be available in that particular place.
Yeah, Professor.
So what is the idea? First, value is mainly that the gold is available in that particular place. What is the idea then? Mining for gold is the idea. What is the development? You start digging, mining. What is the external factor? Price of gold, demand for gold. These are external factors. We do not know. Okay? Is VIDE kind of model? I think there's some serious issues here. I think most of you are finding it difficult to hear me.
Yes, Professor.
Like breaking your voice in between.
Your voice is breaking intermittently.
Okay,
We can hear you, sir.
That's okay. I'll continue with this VID model in the next class. Let's not waste time. Sorry, there's been some issue with the internet. I don't know. We'll see how we do it. But anyway, I think I'll allow you to continue with making the 5-member team right now.
Sir, can you open that Google Sheet last time which you opened?
Who has the Google Sheet? I'll give access to that person because I don't want this issue of my net not being proper. Whereas if I allow somebody who's on a laptop with a proper internet connection right now, maybe that person can open up the sheet and help out others to fill that, please. Who will volunteer?
Yeah, Vidya and myself will do that. Can it be in the common sheet which you can open?
Yeah. You have the sheet with you?
I don't have it, sir. Vidya, do you have it?
Professor, just give me a minute. I'll get my laptop on.
Yeah,
I have
you
the
can
internet connection.
project here. You can share the sheet and then we can.
Yeah, just give me a minute, okay? Discuss.